our beer can cake. I'm making a can of PBR, but if you're making Coors or Bud Light or whatever, you want to use a can that the actual beer comes in. So I went and bought a can of PBR and just poured this out into the sink because I don't drink PBR. But if you, wanted to have a little drink, you could. And we're going to just cut off the top edge of this this can here, right at where the bend is. I'm just using an X-Acto knife. It's kind of scary a little bit, but I'm gonna use scissors to do the last little bit because I don't want to crush my can. So this edge right here is like super duper sharp. So be very aware of that and don't accidentally cut your hand. So we're just gonna take a little bit of our shortening here and just coat the inside. Just painting the inside edge, or inside surface, not edge. And this will just keep our Rice Krispie treats from sticking. So now I have our Rice Krispie treat mixture. And we're gonna start putting that into the can. Just down there. And use like a small rolling pin or something to kind of press it in there. Again, just be careful about this edge here. You don't want to slice your hand. Just press that. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for about an hour until it's rock hard. So to finish our pop can, I'm going to take some of our gray fondant, and I'm actually going to press it into the top of the pop can that we, or sorry, this is beer can, not pop. I'm going to press it into the top part that we cut off. Roll it in, that piece into a ball until it's nice and smooth. I'm just going to put a very thin coat of shortening around the ball so that it doesn't stick. And just press that into the top here. And I'm not really trying to get a lot of detail in here. That's not really the point of this. The point is just to get this slope shape here. So just gonna press that in. Being careful of these sharp edges, of course. And now I'm gonna pop this in the fridge for probably about 10 minutes or so to firm it up so it's easier to pop out. All right, so our can is now very firm. Going to wipe off the shortening off the outside. We're going to take our X-Acto blade and I'm just going to cut down the seam here. Be very careful again that you don't cut yourself, slip and cut. we're going to carefully peel off this outside, and we have a perfect can shape. Now you could just, you know, try and compress some rice cereal treats and roll them out and all that, but it's just really hard to get it just exactly the same shape as the can and exactly the right height. So, I mean, this is a really pretty easy way to kind of get your Rice Krispie treats to that perfect size. Okay, now we're going to start covering our rice cereal treat, and the first thing I'm going to do is cover the bottom. So I'm just going to take a small amount of my gray and roll it out about as thin as I can get it. You don't absolutely have to cover the bottom. This is some royal icing. I'm just going to coat the bottom with a nice thin coat of the royal icing. But I like to be pretty thorough, making sure nothing can be seen. This royal icing kind of acts as something that sort of fills in the gaps too. I've got a circle cutter here that's about the same size as the base. I'm just going to press that on there. I'm not going to press too hard because I don't want it to start getting lumpy. And I'm not going to worry about these edges because they're going to get covered up by the outside piece. So we're going to roll out another piece of fondant that is going to be about the size of a piece of paper, like a letter-sized piece of paper, 8 by 11. Again, we want it to be pretty thin. And you're barely going to see any of this. It's going to be mostly covered by the label. So don't worry if any of the lumps from the Rice Krispie treats show through. Okay. And I'm just going to cut off the excess amount so I have a nice square to work with. Okay. And now I'm going to apply a thin layer of royal icing to the outside, just like we did before. Let's see if I do it. And remember, the point is to basically fill in the holes, not build up a thick layer of icing. So we have our piece that was chilling in the fridge. So got that. Nice little top to our can. I'm just going to put a little bit of royal icing to glue it down. Just place that right on top. We're going to line the bottom of this We're going to line the bottom of the fondant with the bottom of the can. I'm just going to use a smoother to kind of press it down. Smooth it out. And then in the back here, we're going to cut down through both the layers. Remove the top layer and move the overlapping piece underneath. And that just helps things to line up perfectly. And then just kind of buff out the seam. And then press the top part, the overlapping part, up to the top edge. I'm just going to get the inside edge of the piece that we put in there wet so that the fondant adheres to it. Right up to that edge. Don't worry about the part that overlaps. Just going to cut that off like we did before. Just gonna cut off the excess so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pop this into the freezer so that this fondant gets firm, and then I'm going to try cutting it again so that I can get a clean cut. All right, we're going to make our little pop top. This is just another piece of fondant. And I'm going to add a little bit of Tylose powder. You can get this on Amazon or on Global Sugar Art, and it just stiffens the fondant up. Just roll that out. Not super thin. Some powdered sugar down so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to take this off and use it as a template. And I'm just going to take a straw and just cut out the bottom part to make a hole. This is a size 806 Ateco piping tip, and I'm going to use that for the big hole. There we go. Our little top for our can. Just set that aside to set up. Okay, so this has been chilling for about 15 minutes, so the fondant's a little bit easier to cut without moving around as much. So I'm going to continue trimming off that top edge. Alright, so let's start coloring our can now that it's all smoothed out. I'm using Colorants Roxanne Rich New Silver to color the top. I'm just going to brush that on, and because our fondant is gray, it's going to appear very shiny. So it's very important to start off, when you're using metallics, you start off with the color fondant that you want the final outcome to be. So if you want a nice shiny hot pink, then you would make your fondant hot pink and then add the shiny hot pink luster dust over it. And if you wanted a shiny gold, you would start off with like a yellowy brown fondant, and then you would brush the gold over it, and it makes it shiny. If you just try to add silver on top of white, it doesn't really work that well. And I only really need to do the top part of this because the rest is going to be covered by the label. Just going to wet the bottom so that it sticks. And this goes just like that, right on top. And then I'm just going to do a little bit around the bottom because there's just going to be a small amount that shows. And then I have our label printed out. This is free for you to download if you want to use this label. Obviously, if you wanted to make a different kind of can of beer like a Coors or Bud Light, then just Google like Bud Light label or Coors label, and then you can print it out and put your own type of label on top of the can. And if you want a specific label, I might be able to help you, so just message me. So to attach this, I'm going to apply a thin layer of piping gel to the back of this, and this is just printed on an edible image. Careful you don't have any spots to mess up your image. I'm just going to coat my can in a thin layer of piping gel to get it sticky, and then wrap my image around it like this. And I just need to cut off my ends here. Because we made this inside of a can, it's going to be the exact perfect size for a label. I've got my piping gel here. It's very sticky still. The recipe for that is on my website, artisancakecompany.com. Recipes. I'm just staying right here in the center. If you don't have an edible image, you could just print this out on regular paper. Just make sure that you tell whoever is eating it that this is paper. And this is Rice Krispie treats, so I doubt they're going to be eating it anyways, but you know. Gotta tell people anyways. I'm just going to put a little bit of piping gel just on the edges here, just to kind of make sure that they stick, especially on the edges. Cut off a little bit more on the top and bottom. There we go. There. Getting this to go on straight is like the hardest thing. on straight. And you're gonna have a little gap in the back. That's normal. But basically, that's it. That's our beer can cake. Well, not really cake, Rice Krispie treats, but it's gonna go on a cake. Okay, it's time to start assembling our fish cake. So I'm gonna start with our board here. And we're going to take our fish carefully. Place that diagonally, always looks kind of nice. And then I'm gonna have a full-sized can of beer here in the background. I'm just going to insert a skewer in the bottom just to kind of keep that stable. Just like that. I'm going to pipe happy birthday. I'm using these piping bags that I get from Pastry Portal. They're Masterflex. It's like this real like stretchy latex that I find really nice for piping. They got like some give to it, and then I always use a coupler, and I also use their piping tips that I really like. And that's just pastryportal.com for anybody who wants to know. Just putting on my little coupler. This is a size 4 piping tip, pretty big. And what I'm going to do is basically pipe out a greeting that looks like fishing line. So I'm going to try and pipe it all out in one long line. Kind of makes it a little bit fun, so you're not just writing something on the board for no reason. It's, you know, it's part of the greeting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you guys learned a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more free tutorials. And I'll see you guys next time.